Good morning. It's Wednesday, March 5th, and here's what we're working on this morning. Sources say President Donald Trump may announce a deal to reduce tariffs on Canada and Mexico today.
Heavy rainfall is expected today, which could lead to possible flooding in the greater Golden Horseshoe.
And the Toronto Raptors hold on to beat the Orlando Magic. Good morning, and thank you for making us a part of your morning. Louis Butko, Emily Taylor, for a vacationing Annette Hom.
Hello.
Brian Woods here. Great to see you.
Great to see you too.
Bright in red. I love it.
Yep.
You're like I say, you're very bright this morning. So when I saw you on the prompter there underneath, I was like, okay, yeah.
Whoa.
I'm a little worried about the couch though when we get to Chitchat.
I wear a lot of red, and I tend to blend right into the couch.
You'll blend in nicely.
Yeah.
No problems there. Yeah.
We'll wait and see. I'm excited. I'm excited to see that. Brian, a very soggy start to the morning.
It's going to be an interesting 24 hours because we got temperatures going up and we got precipitation, then temperatures going down, and you know what happens with the precipitation after that. Yeah, we have more snow in our forecast, but not for today. Today it's rain, and it's going to be heavy rain. We're already getting some heavy rain. Fog will develop. There's chance of a thunderstorm. There's so many things in here. The winds are going to pick up as well. So we have a warm front, cold front scenario. We're at +2 right now, which is where we were yesterday morning at this time, but going to 11 degrees today. But rain today, maybe 10 to 15 to 20 millimeters of rain. Chance of a thunderstorm as well, as I said. And then the temperatures drop overnight and drop tomorrow. 2 to 4 centimeters of snow tomorrow possible. We'll talk about it coming up. Traffic this morning, it is wet all around the Horseshoe. As you can see here, well, the rain is coming down the 403 and Waterdown Road. We don't have any problems as far as traffic is concerned, collisions or even a lot of volume right now. To some MTO traffic cameras. Here's the QEW at Nikola Tesla, Toronto bound away from us. Same here. You can see the spray coming off the tires around North Shore Boulevard. And third line here, Toronto bound towards us. It's a little slow, and that's because of the rain. Could be some slippery road conditions because some areas are just on the freezing mark. But in Hamilton right now, we're at +2. So details on the forecast coming up in a few minutes. Right now, the news.
All right, thanks, Brian. U.S. President Donald Trump could reverse course on tariffs against Canada and Mexico today. That's according to his Commerce Secretary. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has suggested that his country would likely meet Canada and Mexico, quote, in the middle. Lutnick told Fox Business News an announcement could be coming as early as today. However, he said the tariffs would not be paused in any compromise. Canadian Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly says she's planning to speak with the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio later today, but Joly hasn't said any potential about a deal.
U.S. President Donald Trump addressed Congress for the first time of his second term last night, telling lawmakers that reciprocal tariffs will begin in April.
April 2nd, reciprocal tariffs kick in, and whatever they tariff us, other countries, we will tariff them. That's reciprocal, back and forth. Whatever they tax us, we will tax them.
Trump says the U.S. will also reciprocate any non-monetary tariffs taken by other countries. Yesterday, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau suggested more non-tariff measures are coming if Trump doesn't back down, but didn't comment on any specific actions.
Staying with the president's address last night, Trump told Congress he vows to keep up his campaign of swift and unrelenting action to reorient the nation's economy, immigration, and foreign policy. He covered a range of topics in the 100-minute speech, including his government's record number of executive orders signed within the first month of taking office. Trump also addressed his previous threats to take over Greenland with military force.
We strongly support your right to determine your own future. And if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America. We need Greenland for national security and even international security. And I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it.
While Democrats mostly waved signs in protest, a disruption did come earlier in the night with Speaker Mike Johnson ordering the removal of Democratic lawmaker Al Green from the House chamber. A fact checker says Trump overstated his numbers around immigration crackdown and misrepresented economic figures in the address.
Parts of Hamilton, Halton, Brantford, and Niagara are under a special weather statement. The heavy rainfall expected today could possibly lead to flooding. Conservation authorities in Grand River area, Long Point region, and Hamilton have issued a flood watch. Rainfall amounts are expected to be 15 to 25 millimeters, and Environment Canada warns that the frozen ground will reduce the ability for the rainfall to be absorbed. People are encouraged to exercise extreme caution around water. Slippery and fast-moving water can pose a serious hazard.
OPP say one person is dead following a crash in Brant County last night. Brant OPP say the crash happened on Colburn Street West between Highway 24 and McGregor Avenue before 10 p.m. Police say the collision involved an SUV and a sedan, and the driver of the sedan was pronounced dead on the scene. The area will remain closed into this morning as the police investigation continues.
There will be no charges against a driver who hit an 11-year-old girl, leaving her with life-altering injuries. Hamilton police say Natalie Lewis was struck while walking along Emerald Street North and Keith Street on September 10th last year. She was pinned between the vehicle and a building. After a thorough investigation, police determined the driver had experienced a medical episode and could not have avoided the collision, which is why no charges will be laid. A Hamilton man has been charged after allegedly exposing himself to a group of women on a GO train last month. Halton police say the woman moved to another car after the man sat nearby and exposed himself. The group reported the incident after arriving at Appleby GO station. Police arrested 35-year-old Daraj Bala on February 25th. He faces one count of committing an indecent act. Investigators believe there may be other victims. An Oakville man said he lost $750,000 to a scam and is warning others to be careful. Last fall, 82-year-old Walter Yamka said he transferred his savings to the fraudsters at his local bank. Yamka said he was looking around online for a GIC that offered a better interest rate and came across what appeared to be PC Financial's website and called the number on the page. He said he didn't transfer the $750,000 over the internet and came to his CIBC branch with his document. The family said the teller and the manager signed off on it and never raised any concerns.
If there had been a red flag raised, I think my father would have listened. They just transferred $750,000 like it was $100.
In a statement to CHCH News, CIBC said, "We have processes and controls in place that our team is trained to ask questions when a client is performing a large transaction, which we did in this case." After reporting the fraud, Yamka said he isn't very hopeful he will ever see his money again.
All right, time for a look at sports, and let's start with some basketball. Where the Raptors were looking to finish off a mini two-game sweep of the Magic in Orlando. And just like Sunday's game, this one came right down to the wire.
Here's Walter. Walter puts it up. And Jacoby Walter, the rookie from Baylor, delivers a three.
Matt Devlin with call on TSN as Jacoby Walker knocked home the go-ahead three with less than a second to go as the Raps survived another fourth-quarter collapse with a 114-113 win over the Magic. Walker, one of 6 Raptors to hit double digits in an all-around team effort that saw R.J. Barrett lead the way with 21 points to go along with 9 assists and 8 boards. The win improved the Raptors to 20-42. That's 4 games back of the final play-in spot. And sticking with basketball,
LeBron, open three! 22 seasons, 40 years of age. LeBron James, 50,002 points.
LeBron James continues to rewrite the NBA's record book, becoming the first player in history to record 50,000 points in the regular season and playoffs. The 40-year-old hit a three-pointer in the first quarter and finished the game with a team-high 34 points in the Lakers' 136-115 win over New Orleans. The win, the seventh in a row for the Lakers, who now sit second in the Western Conference standings. Turning our attention to the ice now, where the Edmonton Oilers have struggled since returning from the Four Nations break. With just one win in 5 games, they were looking to get back on track last night at home against the Ducks.
The Anaheim Ducks have a 3-1 lead.
I think you had it right, Louie. I think Colangelo touched it, but it might have hit an Oiler on its way in. You said double deflection, and here's a puck that rolls in front, and it's lifted upstairs, and it's 4-1. McTavish has his second, and the Ducks have scored 4 goals on 8 shots here in the first period.
Mason McTavish had a pair of first-period goals. The Ducks put up a big lead early and held on for the 6-2 victory over the Oilers. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl each had a goal and an assist in the losing effort for the Oilers, who have dropped 6 of their last 7. They're right back at it tonight when they host the Canadiens. Pretty cool moment before the game in Colorado last night, where the Avalanche were hosting the Penguins. The Avs honoring Humboldt Broncos bus crash survivor Lane Matchuk before the game, where he dropped the ceremonial puck between Sidney Crosby and Nathan MacKinnon, his 2 favorite players growing up. Matchuk was a defenseman on the junior hockey team that was affected by a tragic bus incident in 2018, where 16 people were killed and 13 more, including Matchuk, suffered severe injuries in the incident. Avalanche would go on to win the game 4-1.
I don't think I'm the only person in the world who has sat at a hockey game or watched one on TV and thought to myself, what would it be like to drive that?
Meanwhile, in Buffalo, the Sabres were celebrating all things Bills. They held their Buffalo Bills night at KeyBank Center. And before the game, Bills head coach Sean McDermott says he got to fulfill a lifelong dream, getting a chance to drive the Zamboni before the game. Bills in attendance couldn't help the Sabres. They lost this one 6-2. And taking a look at some of the other scores around the league last night, as mentioned, the Sabres' terrible, horrible, no good, very bad season continues. They lost 6-2 to the NHL worst Sharks. The Flames doubled up the Flyers in Philly. The Preds beat the Bruins by the same score in Boston. Lightning stayed hot with the win over the Blue Jackets. The Jets dropped their 3rd in a row, falling to the Islanders in New York.
6:12 and away we go into this 5th morning of March, and it is wet. It has been pouring for quite a while, and of course the melting's going on. You got to be really, really careful with all the water, with all the moisture that we have right now. Looking at the 403 and Waterdown Road, that's slow, of course. You're getting a lot of spray coming off the tires, backing you off a fair bit. It's just a bit of volume through here. MTO traffic cameras, St. Catharines first of all. We'll check the Garden City Skyway. Looks good here as the rain continues. All the way through Nikola Tesla. Here's the 403 junction with Brant Street, Toronto-bound lanes away from us. East of Royal Windsor, now Toronto-bound towards us, going past the Ford plant, and the QEW at Cawthra, just wet and rolling through the puddles this morning. And yeah, be prepared for a lot of puddles, a lot of pooling and ponding on the highways, and be careful with pedestrians and all this moisture that we are getting and we will continue to get throughout the day today isn't going to sink into the ground because the ground is still frozen. So all of this rain is going to have to run off somewhere. So be careful of flooding. So 2 degrees right now, a bit of an east-northeasterly wind. The relative humidity, of course, is right up there at 100%. And the rain continues right now. For school today, yep, it's going to be a rainy day. It's going to be mild, high of 11 degrees. Niagara could hit 12 degrees. That is possible. This is the rain that settled in over the past 6 hours. You can see the green is the rain. The heavier downpours are the brighter colors right there, getting some at the moment. So that low pressure system climbs its way across the Great Lakes, giving us the warm air ahead of it. But the wraparound behind it is really going to drop our temperatures. But we're still going to get precip, and so that's going to cycle over into some snow. So aside from the rain today, we could get 2 to 4 centimeters for the day tomorrow. So today, it is possible to get 10 to 20 millimeters for Hamilton, maybe 15 to 25 in a lot of areas. But temperatures anywhere from 12 for Niagara to 11 Hamilton. Hamilton 8 and 7 for other areas. So a mild day today. Temperature falls tonight. We'll hit +1 to +2, minus column for Brantford at -1. And that rain is going to cycle into some flurries and some wet snow overnight. Tomorrow, the snow continues. We could get 2 to 4 centimeters. Temperatures will fall to these values tomorrow, -2 and -3. But winds tomorrow will pick up to about 70 kilometers an hour. We'll have wind chills around -11. So winter returns after a mild day tomorrow. So out the door, 5th morning of March, rain. It is mild. We're sitting at +2 right now. Long range coming up. Emily, Louis.
All right, thank you, Brian. Coming up after the break, we'll say good morning to Emily Vukovic with a preview of what's to come in Chitchat. And in business news, the push for Canada to send more of its oil and natural gas to markets outside of the U.S. ramped up after U.S. President Trump pressed ahead with a 10% levy on energy imports. More on that in just a minute. 6:17 on your Wednesday morning. Time to take a quick look at what's coming up in Chit Chat with Emily Vukovic. Hey, Emily.
Hi, good morning. A decade after closing, a popular musical is making a return to Broadway.
I don't know what it is, but I'm excited.
I just assumed. I'm probably excited too.
It's a fair guess.
Tease, guys, it's tease.
Okay, all right.
And Robert Pattinson is expressing his frustration over the delay of Batman 2. And later on, a popular 90s group is making a stop in Hamilton.
Okay.
All right, we'll have to wait and see. Coming up in Chit Chat. Thanks, Emily.
Welcome.
All right, taking a look at business. The Canadian dollar is up 5 basis points, still under 70 cents. It's at 69.5 cents U.S. after Trump's Commerce Secretary suggested the White House could offer Canada a compromise on tariffs as early as today. Gold up another $9.50 an ounce, but crude down 85 cents, trading at $67.41 a barrel. In midday European trading, markets are trading considerably higher, especially in Frankfurt and Paris.
Over in Asia, markets are also rebounding across the board in Tokyo, Hong Kong, and Shanghai. And in North American markets, they're still stinging in hours after the launch of Trump's tariffs targeting Canada, Mexico, and China. The TSX dropped over 400 points. The Dow lost almost 700, and the Nasdaq closed 65 points lower. U.S. stock futures are mostly higher in pre-market trading this morning.
Canada's oil industry is pushing for new export routes as the U.S. starts a continental trade war. The Explorers and Producers Association of Canada says the crisis demonstrates the clear and urgent need to build more natural resource infrastructure. The association, representing conventional oil and gas producers, says retaliatory pipelines will grow Canada's economic power while supporting Canadian values. Meanwhile, the Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers is calling for policy changes to advance viable projects.
In the meantime, 25% tariffs on Canadian goods are expected to drive up costs for automakers as parts frequently cross the border multiple times within the deeply integrated industry. Workers and companies in the automotive sector are bracing for major disruptions. The president of the union representing GM workers in Oshawa says the tariffs could trigger the biggest industrial crisis ever experienced. Meanwhile, the head of the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association warns that shutdowns could begin within a week of the tariffs taking effect, impacting both sides of the border.
Swiss chocolate maker Lindt says it will supply chocolate made in Europe to Canada to avoid the Canadian tariffs imposed to counter the U.S. tariffs. Canada currently has 50% of Lindt's chocolate supplied from Europe, and the rest is from the U.S. A spokesperson for the chocolatier says it can supply all the necessary chocolate from Europe. Lindt was anticipating the imposition of tariffs, so it stockpiled chocolate in Canada to give it time to change its supply chain.
I think that's the best news we've seen about the tariffs in a very long time. I'll still have chocolate. An American company has agreed to buy 2 ports on the Panama Canal from Hong Kong-based firm. The U.S. company BlackRock has an agreement in principle with CK Hutchison. The ownership by Hutchison is something that U.S. President Trump has been angered by. He said several times during the lead up to his inauguration and since then taking office that he intends to take back the canal from Panama. And he cited Chinese ownership of some port operations as a sign China is now running it. The deal calls for BlackRock and a consortium of fellow investors to spend nearly $23 billion to buy the ports of Balboa and Cristobal on either end of the canal.
All right, taking a break right now. Brian will be back with traffic and your 7-day forecast. Stay with us.
All right, 6:24. Good morning. I want to start with this shot. This is the Garden City Skyway West camera, and this gives you a really good idea of how heavy the rain is right now. Look at the rain in that light standard across the Skyway. You can see the spray coming off the tires. No problems as far as the road is concerned with traffic, as you can see there. Quite slow here coming off the Skyway Bridge. They call it south of 2, but it's the North Shore Boulevard camera basically. Third line still doing fine, just a little bit slow because of the rain. Winston Churchill looks okay. So does the 403 at Burnham Thorpe Road, but it is raining all around it. Be careful, because even though the temperatures kind of around the horseshoe are on the plus side, other areas outlying still getting the rain, but the temperature is a fair bit chillier, so it could be fairly slippery this morning. Take it carefully. Let's check our temperatures right now. Temperature 2 in Hamilton, 3 Mississauga, Toronto, 4 into Grimsby right now. All right, seasonal temperatures this time of year are 2 for the daytime high. So that's where we are right now. -6 for the overnight low. Sun comes up at 6:49. We gain another 3 minutes of daylight for the day today. And those are our records for today. And be prepared for rain. Rain is already happening, has been throughout the overnight, will continue this morning. We should be 7 degrees for the first bell, 11 degrees coming home later on. And yes, there is a chance of a thunderstorm later on today. And there's a chance some fog patches could develop as well. So 11 degrees today, 10 to 20 millimeters of rain. Tonight we'll dip to +1. That rain could cycle into some drizzle and then maybe some flurries. And then tomorrow, temperature continues to fall to -3, wind chill -11. We could get 2 to 4 centimeters of snow during the day tomorrow, and the winds will be really strong and cold winds tomorrow. So +3 Friday and some sun, minus column for the weekend as we change our clocks to daylight saving time. And then we climb again for Monday and Tuesday. Monday 4, Tuesday sun at 9. Okay. That's your forecast, Emily, Louie.
All right. Thank you, Brian. All right. The biggest iceberg in the world appears to have finally run aground in the southern Atlantic Ocean.
Is there anyone there? Yes, what do you see? Iceberg, right ahead!
I didn't think the sound was going to be Titanic, but here we are. All right, it's named A23A, and it spans more than 896,000 acres, which is slightly smaller than Prince Edward Island. The iceberg has been drifting around the Southern Ocean near Antarctica since 2020. Scientists say it probably broke away as part of the natural growth cycle of the ice shelf and not because of climate change. According to the British Antarctic Survey, the iceberg has come to a stop off the island of South Georgia.
Yeah, it was totally unexpected. the Titanic quote, whoever cut that story together, well done.
Well done.
Well done this morning. All right, we are off and running on this Wednesday morning. Stay with us. We have more to come after the break.